Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask, hey Jason, what do you think about SBD knee sleeves? So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Well, what do I think about them? Well, I don't think much about them at all. Why? Because I don't compete in the IPF and powerlifting. Why would anyone who doesn't compete in the IPF care about them? They have no value outside of that. And if you do compete in the IPF and you want to win, you should probably use them. This isn't a tough decision. Now, some people will be like, what? But all these YouTubers use them. I don't understand. They keep my knees warm. They help prevent injury. You guys seen the price tag on these things? Stop and think about that for a minute. Stop and think about that. The price tag on these things. Most people who are going to pay money for that, they've already invested financially. So I'm pretty sure they don't want to feel like they've been made a fool out of in any way. I wouldn't want to feel like I've been made a fool out of and bought something expensive and useless to me. And I know most people don't either. That doesn't feel good. But what's the reality here? Why do people use them in powerlifting? Because they help you lift more weight. They help you lift more weight. The reason they've got more popular in YouTube is because there were quite a few guys in YouTube fitness who competed in the IPF, all right, which doesn't allow knee wraps for its raw. Most federations draw a distinction. You have raw and you have raw with wraps. All right, that's how most federations work. The IPF works different. They just have raw, and their raw allows sleeves. Any other federation counts sleeves as wraps for the most part. WPC and all those others like what I competed in. If you wear sleeves, they count them as wraps. You have to compete in the wraps division. It's as simple as that. But IPF doesn't have a raw division. They call it classic raw, I believe, but it allows knee sleeves. And it got popular, though, because there are YouTubers who do that. And so then it became kind of trendy on YouTube for people to have SBD sleeves. And if it wasn't for that, no one would even be asking me about it, or no one would care. Just like when I said on the Soto press, if Soto wasn't using the Soto press, no one would care about it. It wouldn't even be a topic. No one would be doing it. No one would care. It would never even be discussed. Well, same with these SBD sleeves. A bunch of YouTubers have now used them. Therefore, they're popular. They're trendy. So people are going to ask about them. They want to know what's up with them. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So that's what's going on with them. That's why people are asking. That's why they care. I don't care about them. I have no interest in it. Now, as far as why they're using them, well, like I said, they let you lift more weight because you get them super tight. They usually get them a size or two too small. Guys do who want to get an advantage in powerlifting. And if you think about it, you have a really tight sleeve wrapped around your knee, made out of neoprene, that is so tight that it almost cuts off circulation, and in some cases it does. And that sleeve, because it's so tight and it balls up behind your knee, it creates elasticity behind your knee. Now, not as pronounced as a knee wrap does, but it's the same concept. People use knee wraps because they wrap those, nylon wraps around their knees, and it compresses down like a spring. When you lower the weight on a squat, you store energy at the back of the knee, and it's compressed down at the very hardest part of the movement. The very bottom of the squat is the hardest part, particularly when you squat deep. And if you squat deep, like they require in that particular federation, you're going to store energy there. You're going to store energy that's going to help you lift it. Now, as people say, well, it helps you lift more weight, that's better for building muscle. No, not really. You're storing energy in a device that is helping spring you out of the bottom at the weakest part of an exercise. That energy that's helping you lift more weight is coming from lowering the bar with the heavy weight. That's compressing energy like a spring into it. All right, just like a spring stores energy, that sleeve stores energy, and it helps bounce you out of the bottom. Now, people will argue that, well, it's not that much. Well, the guys who argue that it's not that much are the people who compete with them. Why? Because they compete raw. They consider themselves raw lifters. They consider themselves raw lifters, and they don't want to think that a device is storing energy and helping them lift a weight very much, because then they're going to feel like they're an equipped lifter, and it kind of goes against their ego. Guys don't want to admit they're getting help from a device, but they are. It's just not as pronounced as wearing a squat suit. It's not as pronounced as a really good set of wraps, because good wraps have been found to add 80 to 100 pounds to your max squat. And anyone can argue all they want, but the records show it. When you have the same individual for a weight class who sets the record for the raw without wraps and the raw with wraps in the same division, and it's 80 to 100 pounds apart in the same person, it's fair to say they're getting 80 to 100 pounds out of those wraps. Now, sleeves don't do as much. We could argue all day long as to how much they give, but they give something, and something is a competitive advantage. But by that same token, the guys who are all using them, everyone uses them who competes at the high level. Why? Because they give a small advantage. And if you want to be competitive, you have to do something that gives a small advantage. But by that same token, then these guys feel dumb if they try to claim, well, it doesn't really give anything. Well, then you're an idiot who paid a lot of money for really expensive, worthless knee sleeves then. If they don't give anything, then you threw your money away. But they do give something, and they give more than a lot of these guys care to admit. A lot of these guys are like, well, they only have maybe 5 pounds, 10 pounds tops. Now, I bet you they're good for 20, 25 pounds. That's what I think, at least. But that doesn't make them a useful muscle building tool. So unless you're using them for a competitive advantage, why would you use them? They're not helping your muscles contract harder. They're helping you lift more weight because they use external force to help lift you out of the bottom. That external force means that you're using less muscle fibers to lift the same weight than had you lifted it with your actual muscles. They don't give you any advantage for getting stronger. They don't give you any advantage for building muscle. They're only useful in a competitive environment. Then there's the injury component. People will say, well, you know, they help keep my knees warmer. My knees hurt less when I wear them. I want you to think about that for a moment. You're using something because normal training makes your joints hurt, makes your knees hurt? Well, you need to change what the fuck you're doing. There is no reason you should have hurting joints under any sort of proper training, even heavy proper training. If your joints are hurting, particularly a knee joint, hip joint, and elbow, you need to change your fucking training. Something is wrong with your training. You don't slap a Band-Aid on it. You don't use painkillers. You don't use something to blunt the pain when you're training incorrectly, because you know what? It doesn't help keep warmth in there. It doesn't help protect the joint. There's nothing that a knee wrap does at all to prevent injury, to prevent inflammation. All right, so if you're feeling less pain because you put them on, it's either psychosomatic or it's because it's cutting off your circulation. You know what? When you lose circulation to areas, they get number, right? Pretty common knowledge. Most people are familiar with that. You get number when you cut off circulation. You're making the joint number so that you don't feel the pain that it's experiencing. Now, if you're using it for that purpose and it causes you to have less pain, you're writing a check that your ass can't cash. Or more importantly, you're writing a check that your knee joint can't cash because you're training in a way that's causing you pain. And pain is your body's way of telling you, hey, dumbass, you're doing something wrong. That's what pain means. That is the universal signal that pain in your body is telling you. You're doing something fucking stupid. Stop doing it. That's what that means. And it's universal. Only in the training world out there have people forgotten that that's actually the body telling you that. And in that case, you're using an external device to blunt the pain. You don't think that's going to cause you to get injured, so then you don't feel the pain that you're supposed to be feeling, so you can keep doing what you were doing before that was injuring you to do it even harder? Again, one-way ticket to Snap City. And you know what? There's no clinical evidence anywhere that knee wraps or joint wraps of any type reduce injuries. There's no evidence that it helps reduce injuries. So if you think that you're going to be safer because you're doing, well, I'm not going to get hurt, I'm keeping the joint warmer, since it hurts less, I must be reducing my injuries. Really, that's not supported by the data. That's a really bad reason to wear them. Furthermore, because these types, if they aren't open knee, they work in the same manner that a knee wrap does. And there is data out there showing that knee wraps, because they grind the kneecap against the joint, because of the force exerted on them, that it causes knee damage over time. It causes damage to cartilage over time to wear knee wraps. Knee sleeves like that are extra tight are most likely going to replicate the same thing. So not only are you not helping prevent injury, you are actually slowly grinding down cartilage in your knee by utilizing these devices. They don't help you reduce injuries. They cause injuries. They cause their own unique type of damage. So again, people who are wearing them for injury prevention, That's make-believe. There's no evidence whatsoever that this is going to help prevent injuries. There's no evidence that it's reducing pain for any positive reason. The only reason they would reduce pain is because they're cutting off circulation. That's absurdity, because again, you're blunting the pain you're supposed to be feeling from doing something incorrectly. I'm going to suggest you figure out what you're doing wrong with either your technique or with your actual training programming and correct it. Learn to deload correctly, learn to train correctly. Don't use a Band-Aid fix to stop your body from experiencing the pain that it's supposed to be experiencing because it's telling you something. So all in all, outside of people needing them in a competitive environment, I think these sleeves are absolutely useless. I think they're counterproductive, and I don't see why anyone buys these expensive pieces of shit unless you're going to compete in a federation that allows them and in which they offer a competitive advantage. Otherwise, waste of fucking money. Why would you spend money on them? Other than it's a nice expensive fashion accessory and a way to say that I invest a lot of money in my workout outfit. You know what? A good watch probably would do a better job than that. I'm just throwing that out there. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. And I will talk to you guys next time.